The day Karen from the HOA stormed up my driveway, screeching about my porch fan, I knew I was in for a ride. It was a scorcher, mid-July. The kind of heat that makes your shirt stick to your back in seconds. My little oscillating fan, perched on the porch railing, was humming along, keeping me sane while I sipped iced tea and scrolled through my phone. Then, like a tornado in khakis, Karen appeared, her face pinched like she'd just sucked a lemon. That fan is an eyesore. It's not in the HOA guidelines, she barked, waving her clipboard like a battle flag. I raised an eyebrow, took a slow sip of tea, and said, "Karen, it's a fan. It's 95 degrees. Chill." That was my first mistake. Karen doesn't chill. This wasn't my first tangle with her. I'd moved to Sunny Hills 6 months ago, lured by the neat lawns and promises of community standards. What I got was Karen, the HOA president, who patrolled the neighborhood like a hawk eyeing a field mouse. "My name's Jake, 32 single, and I bought this house to start fresh after a rough year. I'm no rebel, but I like my space, my way." Karen, though, had other plans. She'd already sent me letters about my unapproved mailbox color. It was navy, not black, and my non-compliant grass height a 1/4 inch too tall. The fan. Just her latest crusade. She stood there, tapping her foot, demanding I remove it by sundown or face a fine. I tried reasoning, big mistake. It's not blocking anyone's view. Karen. It's keeping me from melting. Her eyes narrowed. Rules are rules. Jacob. You signed the covenant. She spun on her heel and marched off, leaving me fuming. I wasn't about to let this slide. Sunny Hills wasn't her personal kingdom, and I wasn't her serf. That's when the idea hit me. If she hated my fan, I'd give her something to really lose her mind over. The next morning, I hit up Home Depot. I wasn't just going to ditch the fan. I was going to double down. I found these slick ceiling misters, the kind fancy restaurants use to cool patios. They sprayed a fine mist, barely noticeable, and came with soft LED lights for ambiance. Perfect. I spent the day installing them on my porch, wiring the lights to glow at noon when Karen did her daily patrol. I didn't stop there. I grabbed a can of red spray paint and a piece of plywood from the garage. In big, dripping letters, I wrote, "Karen can't stop this mist," and staked it in my front yard. Petty, sure. Satisfying, you bet. By noon the next day, the misters were up, hissing softly, the lights casting a gentle glow. My porch looked like a damn oasis. I sat in my chair, fan still humming, waiting for the show. Right on cue. Karen's SUV rolled by, slowed, then screeched to a stop. She leapt out, clipboard in hand, her face turning a shade of red that'd make a tomato jealous. "Jacob, what is this?" she shrieked, gesturing at the misters. I leaned back, grinning, just keeping cool. "Karen, you got a problem with water vapor." She sputtered. "This is unapproved." The lights. The sign you're defacing the neighborhood. That's when the neighbors started poking their heads out. Old Mrs. Thompson, who'd been fined for her tacky garden gnomes, peeked from her window. Mike, the guy across the street who got a warning for his kid's chalk art, stepped onto his lawn, arms crossed, smirking. Karen was losing it, yelling about fines, lawsuits, and community aesthetics. I stood up, casual as could be, and said, "Karen, I checked the bylaws. Nothing about misters or lights. You want to talk signs. Yours says, no soliciting. Mine's just expressive. Her jaw dropped. I could practically see the gears grinding in her head. She flipped through her clipboard, desperate for a rule I'd broken. But I'd done my homework. The misters were within code. The lights were low wattage. And the sign, well, it was on my property. She stormed off, muttering about an emergency HOA meeting. I waved, called out, "Enjoy the mist," and cranked the fan up a notch. "Mrs. Thompson gave me a thumbs up from her porch. Mike hollered, "You're my hero." Man, but I wasn't done. Karen's meltdown was just the appetizer. I'd heard whispers she was planning to push a new rule at the next HOA meeting to ban excessive porch decorations. If she wanted a war, I'd bring it. I spent the next week rallying neighbors. Mrs. Thompson was in, ready to fight for her gnomes. Mike wanted his kids' chalk art back. Even quiet Mr. Patel, who'd been fined for his too bright porch light, joined the cause. We dug into the HOA bylaws, found a loophole. Any new rule needed a 2/3 majority vote. Karen didn't know half the neighborhood was sick of her. The meeting was a circus. Karen stood at the podium, preaching about standards and property values. I stood up, calm as you please, and said, "Folks, Karen's trying to control how we live. My misters. They're legal. Her rules? They're personal. Who's with me?" Hands shot up. Mrs. Thompson, Mike, Patel, even the new couple down the street who'd gotten a letter about their unapproved bird feeder. Karen's face went from red to purple. The vote tanked her rule, 12-3. She stormed out, clipboard and all. The fallout glorious. Karen's reign of terror started crumbling. Neighbors started pushing back. Gnomes reappeared. Chalk art covered sidewalks, and I kept my misters running. Karen tried one last power move, sending me a fine for disruptive signage. I appealed, showed up to the next meeting with the bylaws printed out, and got the fine tossed. She quit the HOA presidency a month later, citing personal reasons. Rumor has it she's moving to a condo downtown. Good riddance. Now, my porch is the talk of the block. The misters hum, the lights glow, and the sign's still there, faded but proud. Every noon, I sit out there, sip my tea, and soak in the victory. Karen thought she could bully me into submission, but I turned her rules into my playground. So, what do you think? Was I petty? Or was this justice? Drop your take below. I'm all ears. The end.